Hello, I'm Game Retainer, and in this video I'll be going over a handful of bunkers that you can find on the Navezgane map in 7 Days to Die. I made another one of these recently, I'll put a link to it up on the screen, but a few people have asked for another one, so here it is. First up we have Fort Camo. This is a tier 4 POI that you can find in the Burnt Forest, and from above ground it looks very small for a military compound. With it being a military compound, there are a handful of mines dotted around the place, so be a little bit careful as you try and make your way into this one. As you can see here, there is a hatch. Now, this hatch will be locked when you make your way here. To unlock it, you'll need to head up into the tower here and press this button. After you've made your way down the ladders and you're in the bunker, you'll see the main loot, but unsurprisingly, you'll also see a lot of zombies too. By default, this one is pretty dimly lit, so if you do want to turn this one into a base, then you should either have a head torch, some form of lighting, or just turn up your brightness. While this underground bunker isn't really that big, it's big enough for one, maybe two players. Also, since it's a tier 4, the loot's pretty decent as well. Up next we have Seemore Bank. This is a tier 3 POI that you can find in the town of Perishton. It's a really good all-round base because, as you can see, it has multiple levels. The walls are very sturdy, and the interior itself is nice and open, so if you want to have the upper area as a horde base, then it works really well because you can have multiple choke points going up and you can pick the zombies off as they approach. As for the underground area, this is a bank, so it has a vault. You can find the vault behind the elevator and down, but if you want to follow the path as intended, then you'll need to make your way up to the roof and open that hatch before you can make your way down into the underground area. As you can see, the underground area is pretty clean. It does have a hole here that leads out into a cave, and zombies will dig down to you, so I would strongly recommend closing this off somehow. But aside from that, this area doesn't need a lot of work to turn it into a storage base or crafting area, or anything you like really. One other thing to keep in mind with this one is after you've found the main loot, if you follow through here, you'll come out to some ladders and a button. Once you press that button, then this hatch will open and you'll come out at the back of the building. Now, I'm not sure whether this would work as a weak point, because zombies may gather here. I haven't tested it myself, but it's something that you should probably keep in mind. But if you are planning on using this one as your main base, then I highly recommend having the fighting area above ground, because underground bases in this game don't really work that well anymore, at least during horde nights anyway. Would you like to move into an underground morgue? Me neither, but this is Dumpsy Clinic. It's a tier 4 POI and you can find it in the wasteland town that doesn't have a name. It is a pretty daunting POI. You have to make your way in and up through the top in order to get down to the bottom where the loot is. But once you've made your way to the top and then worked your way down through the levels, you'll come into this underground area here that is very creepy and unsettling. There is nice loot here, so that's a plus, but there's also a lot of dead bodies and then undead bodies as well. Once you have made your way through this POI, there is a little tunnel here that you can go through that will lead you up and out through another hatch back onto the main street. Staying in the same town, we have the HNN Bank, or what's left of it anyway. This is a tier 3 POI, and it's pretty easy to get a bit lost and turned around inside this one. The whole place is a maze of traps, broken floors, and dodgy ledges that you'll have to walk across in order to make your way down to where you'll find the actual bunker bit. That said, if you don't feel like clearing the whole building, then you can make your way next door to the Oops Chemical Company and dig in this area here, and after a few blocks you'll end up in the basement. But no matter how you make your way down here, once you do get down into the basement there will be a handful of enemies, so be careful. You press this button, those doors open. Once those doors open, enemies spawn, but you also get the loot. Unfortunately, like many POIs in the game, once you press the button to open these doors, they become locked open, so the only way that you can close them is to break them down and make new ones. This is the Don Vittorio Spagetto Residence. I probably pronounced that wrong. This looks like a really lavish place to live, and on the surface it is, minus the zombies of course. This one is a bit of a maze, but if you follow the path, you should end up coming out onto this roof here, where you can go down into this office, and then you can head further down into the bunker. The bunker itself is pretty impressive, and it does paint a bit of a picture as to what may have gone on here pre-apocalypse. All I'll say is it seems very mob related. It has a nice office. If you want that, then it's there. And as for the main loot, it is opposite the office on this wall here. Just to show you the size of it, you can see how big the underground facility is, and it's definitely one that's worth exploring. This next one is more of an honourable mention because I'm not sure whether you'd just consider this a little basement utility area or a bunker. But the box factory is a tier 0 POI and it's a mess, quite frankly. However, there is a little underground area to this one, and it's pretty easy to miss, or at least it took me a while before I found it. As you can see from out of the map, it's not that big. I mean, it's not big at all. But if you want a little base away from your main area, this might be okay. It's nothing too special, it is literally just one straight line from one end to the other, and there are ladders at both ends that will lead you up and back into the building. There's not a lot here in terms of loot, and the building is just one giant mess, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. I have another honourable mention. I'm only bringing it up because it's very easy to miss. This is Downtown Marketplace, and it's a tier 4 POI, but the underground area isn't actually inside this POI. Instead, it's just behind it. If you make your way around the back of the building, there is a hatch here that is unlocked that leads to a really small underground area. The only enemy I found down here during recording was a snake, so that's not that difficult to take care of. It is very, very small, there's nothing in here at all, but since it is located in the town that doesn't have a name, this place is dangerous. So if you want a place to hunker down for the night, that little bunker is very easy to get into. This is Johnnytown. It's a tier 3 POI and I've featured this one a few times across my videos, but since it's moved with the recent Navezgane update, it's time to give this one another look over and show the coordinates. This one I believe used to have farm plot blocks outside, but they seem to have gone. The rest of it is pretty much the same. As you can see, the underground area spans over multiple levels. It has some cement walls and then others just sort of held up by the cave itself and some wood. I would argue that this is one of the more challenging tier 3 POIs, only because you are kind of stuck down here, and there are quite a few zombies as well. The main loot is just your standard tier 3 loot, but it's still quite nice. And once you have cleared this one and you make your way up, you will end up leaving through the garage out the back, which actually acts as a pretty good base. So if you do want to live here, then maybe ignore the house, because the house isn't anything that special, and set up shop in the garage. That's what I'd do anyway. We're going to finish things off with a pretty big POI. This is the Wright Residence, and it is a huge manor sat on top of a hill in the snow. Before we go underground, one notable feature of this place is the library that's up in the attic, so I highly recommend going and grabbing all the books you can from there. But once you've made your way through, you'll be able to go down this elevator shaft and end up in a pretty impressive underground area. As you can see, this is big, really big. While a lot of it is just out in the open with very little structural support, once you've made your way past this door, you do have a nice big area that could be a viable base. There are traps that you'll have to turn off, but they're pretty straightforward. As for the rest of it, there is so much space for storage, for crafting, you name it. You can do it all in this one. Minus handling the hordes, of course. Unless you're willing to take a risk. One little thing about this one is there's a button here that once you pressed it, you get a little bit more loot in this box here, and then you go kind of back up and through the facility again, but still. It's a little extra loot, which is quite nice. Once you pass through the door, the loot is just to your right, in this room here, and it is pretty nice. So I hope you found this video interesting. If there are any videos that you would like me to make around 7 Days to Die, then feel free to let me know in the comment section. As always, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.